So a deep bow and welcome to everyone who is here. I am Bhante Varrapanyo, and this is the Monk Life Meditation Community. And now is the present moment, and there's no better moment to get involved in taking care of our life. And the way that we're going to do that today is through the practice of meditation. Whether we are someone who has meditated for hundreds and thousands of hours, or we are someone who has only meditated for a few minutes, actually, we approach meditation as a beginner. We approach this moment, this experience, this seeing, this hearing, this body being right now, as if it were the first time that we've experienced it. And of course, each and every moment, the body is a new body. Each and every moment, the mind is a new mind. So it is a new experience, actually. And when we look at it that way, we can enter into meditation quite naturally, right? In a way that's not very contrived or complicated, or we aren't kind of chasing after some special experience in our meditation, but it's more a way that we are actualizing peace. We are actualizing freedom. We are actualizing our goodness. So we approach meditation, we approach a space like this, not showing up to see, what am I going to get here? What's here to get? What's here to grasp? What's here to add on to myself? But actually, what can I offer? And showing up in this space and showing up to our meditation as a kind of generosity, as a kind of offering, as a kind of sharing out. Right? That's how we approach meditation practice, as an act of generosity. Our normal life is very jumpy. We're going from here to there, to there, to this thought, to that thought, to this idea, to this experience, to that experience, thinking, desiring, fearing, past and future. All this stuff is going on. And if we just try to stop the mind, or stop ourself, or stop our experience, we're going to very quickly become discouraged. Because there is a lot of momentum. There's a lot of habit energy. There's a lot of karma that's been kind of built up. And when we try to stop ourselves, even if we put our heels right into the ground, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to tumble forward, right? We're going to bump our head. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit difficult. So if we approach meditation where we're trying to get something or experience something in particular, we're going to be quickly discouraged, and we will miss out on the opportunity to practice meditation. We will miss out on the opportunity to stop and see reality. Stop and see the truth. We will miss out on the opportunity to do good, to be good, to take care, right? To make merit, to deepen our mind and open our heart. And we don't want to miss out on this opportunity. It's nice to approach meditation with a don't know mind, or a don't understand mind, a non-grasping mind. So, what do you know about most people in the world? Well, you don't know anything about most people in the world. What do you know about most places in the world? You don't know basically anything. What do you know about the deep recesses of your psyche, of your psychology, of your, ancestry? Well, mostly you don't know. So what is that sense? What is that feeling of not knowing? What is that feeling of not understanding? And when we ask that, we invite it. We invite that feeling, that experience of not knowing, not understanding, not grasping, not controlling, not contriving. We find ourselves naturally, quite easily, in a intimate, authentic, somewhat vulnerable state of direct experiencing. Now, in that direct experiencing, there may be thinking, so there's thinking. We already emphasize thinking a lot. We emphasize our judgments and our opinions and our positions and our perspectives and our politics, etc. So even though meditation is not exclusive of thinking, and thinking can be a pretty big part of meditation, we don't want to emphasize that too much. So yeah, thinking is happening, thinking is going on, but not too much important, not too much to emphasize the thinking. Rather, what we can emphasize is our present moment breathing. And you don't need to be roped in, you don't need to be convinced, you don't need to convince yourself about the beauty, the essentialness, the preciousness of your breathing and how that opens you up, right? Just in the same way that you don't need to be convinced about the preciousness or the value of someone giving you $100,000. Or giving you a bar of gold, something like that. Right in that moment, preciousness, authenticity, direct experiencing is right there. There's no, you don't need to add, they don't need to convince you to value that $100,000. They don't need to convince you to value that gold. It is what it is. And our breathing is like that. So every breath that we take is this immense point of value, this immense point of authenticity, this immense point of direct experiencing. And it is a point to the nature of your mind. Which we can say is like awareness. Or we can say is like nothing in particular. So we enter into the weeds to find the saplings of truth, or the saplings of the fruit trees, or the saplings of the medicinal plants that are there. We enter into the weeds. We enter into this place of wonder. We enter into this place of not knowing. We enter into this place of direct experiencing of breathing. And we allow that process of breathing, that direct experience of breathing, to be a kind of refuge. And to be an avenue or a pathway for us to direct our energy, to direct our intention, to direct our heart, body, mind to what we call meditation, or what we can say is being with the now, or being with the breathing, being with the direct experiencing, being with the looking. What is more valuable to you? $100,000 or your breathing right now and your next breath. The breath you just took, the breath that you're taking now, and the next breath that you're about to take. What is more valuable to you? $100,000 in your bank account or cash or however you want it, or your breathing? Now, would $100,000 be meaningful to anyone here? If someone deposited $100,000 in your bank account or gave that to you, would that be meaningful? Would that be interesting? Would that be valuable? Right? I mean, what are we talking about here? And your breath, this breath, is more valuable, more precious, more essential to you, whatever you are, than that. So meditation is also this period of time when we get our priorities straight, when we connect with this natural wisdom, this deeper sense of truth that's inside of ourselves that is not so easily confused, right, by appearances. When we practice meditation, we develop this capacity to not be so easily pulled away from what is most precious, what is most valuable, what is most important. Someone asked at the beginning of this session, what is this going to be? Is this going to be a guided meditation? Your life is a guided meditation. Reality is a guided meditation. One Vietnamese monk, a Zen master that I really I take refuge in. I look to him as a great teacher, a living monk, lives in Florida. And he was speaking to his congregation, his community at his temple, and he said, do you like breathing? Do you breathe? Well, then you like meditating. Then you love meditating. So we are attenuating this ego, this self, this complicated mind, this story, this babala boobada woobada ba, whatever it's going to be, okay? We're attenuating it, connecting it to reality, to direct experiencing. And that's what we're always doing, right? The mind, the body, our health can go in so many different directions, but somehow we're bringing it back again and again and again to this place of care, right? To this place of balance, to this place of direct experience. And in meditation, we're just leaning all the more into that, to have a more clear, direct experience of present moment awareness or present moment breathing. And there's two sides to this. One side is that it's like a muscle. And here is the gym. I'm at the gym, you're at the gym, we all have different roles to play, maybe we're on different machines, but we're here at the gym to practice, to be in the present, to meditate. And then the other side of this coin is the ultimate of it. That this is it. This is life. The past is gone. Really, the future has yet to come. Really, this is it. And how do we face that? How do we touch that? How do we be in relationship with that? The itness, the suchness of this life. Buddhism has some great answers to questions like this, or great encouragements or directions for us to go in. But the asking of the question is very valuable. And when we ask a deep or a meaningful question, when we ask a question about life itself or experience itself that comes from the heart, it puts us into this place of present moment breathing. It puts us into this place of direct experiencing. And when the mind wanders, when the body wanders, when we lose our connection to the here and now, the breath is there. The heart is there, the body is there, and we come home. We return. And we return in such a way that is this offering, this sharing out, this widening out, this brightening out. This breathing in, breathing out. That mind that is just so strong to jump around, so strong to be sticky, so strong to have these different tendencies that we're pulled towards. Even though we're interested in this, then we're pulled towards something that's more easy or comfortable or enjoyable, right, to consume. Face that mind. Look at it. You maybe don't continue doing what you think you need to be doing or should be doing, but instead of just going to that other thing or that other place that the mind is comfortable to lead you to, right? Touch that stopping and face that mind and embrace it and be with that sticky, jumpy, moving around kind of mind. Look at it. And maybe you will, of course, we will kind of go into our habit patterns again, but give that little bit of space to just stop and see and look and face that jumpiness. In meditation, the breath, the breathing is a real tool. So if the mind is not convenient, maybe breathe deeper. Breathe wider, breathe fuller. Breathe with the heart. And we can see quite quickly in meditation that this mind that maybe we can be fearful of, or we identify as having anxiety or depression or what have you, this mind is so wide, so expansive, so safe, so free. And know that knowing, see that seeing, breathe that breathing, the safety of the mind, the wideness of the mind, the gentleness, the open-heartedness of the mind. And rather than getting lost in our thoughts or our views, our perceptions, and even our idea about how this is going, breathing in, returning to the source of direct experiencing. Breathing out, release, renew. The breathing is like the tide of our heart. So in showing up for our heart, showing up for our heart mind, be the tide, coming in, going out. Each and every moment we are influencing ourselves and also the world as we follow the breath flowing in, as we follow the breath flowing out. We share out, we offer out this influence of resolution, of finishing, of beginning again. And when we start to feel into our meditation, heart, mind, it becomes really rich. And to know that we are doing this together in community and that it's not limited in any way. And so we can dive into that. We can put our whole heart, our whole life into this present moment breathing. This body, mind, heart, breathing, experiencing. Our meditation practice is not about not having thoughts. It's that those thoughts arise, those memories, those experiences, those feelings in the body arise, and they pass away of themselves. So our awareness of them just being like the tide coming in and going out. Each wave of breathing may bring with it some feeling, some idea, and it also will go away by itself. So we experience these things, thoughts, feelings, memories, but we don't rely on those. We rely on our breathing in, feeling, nourishing, knowing, the breathing in, experiencing, and breathing out, releasing, resolving, just breathing. Don't put your finger on it. Open, widen out, expand. Taking the backward step, the widening out step. when something begins to stand out or stick out at us very strongly, such as a particular way of feeling in the mind or a way of feeling in the body, we can practice in two ways. One is to endure, to be with. Oh, I feel some pain, but that's okay. Oh, I have this difficult thought, but that's okay. I can stay with my breathing. I can be with it. I can embrace. I can stay here. And the second way is to really offer your love to that feeling. Offer your forgiveness to that thought, to that experience. And offer your forgiveness to that pain. Offer your forgiveness to that mental formation. So in Buddhism, we work on a very simple principle, and that is that cause and effect is real. If you do good, you feel good. If you do bad, you feel bad. If you do things that are basically neutral, well, there's not going to be much of a strong effect. And that what we are responsible for in our experience, in our life, is not just this moment, but many, many past moments of all kinds of good deeds and bad deeds, not only from our own life, but from our ancestors, from our past lives. So the way that we start to step into spiritual practice or healing in Buddhism is we start to prioritize doing good deeds, doing actions of generosity, following precepts. And an understanding that we have in Buddhism, kind of, is that one of the goodest deeds, the best good deeds we can do, the most wonderful things we can do, is to practice meditation. So don't limit your spiritual path or your Buddhist path to this kind of die-hard focus on meditation, but know that meditation is there, is accessible for you, is a way to come home to the present, and is a way to establish yourself in doing good. At this time, you are invited to open your eyes if they're closed, and we will finish up with our semi-guided practice of mindfulness of breathing meditation. After we practice meditation, it can be good to do some self-massage. You can massage your face, massage your body. You can stretch out a little bit. It's a very good time to do that. And we will open up the space now for question and answer and sharing experience. Welcome.
In another Discord, it's a daily meditation, and one of the questions that a lot of the guys often kind of come up with was something that you covered in the meditation today, and so I'll take some of those kind of tips back to those guys as well. Found some of your words extremely helpful.
Would you like to share what that point is, or what that question?
Some of the things that they've had concerns about was with like what thoughts come into their mind and what they should do with those thoughts, and some of the things you were saying about letting them slip away, not giving them focus, looking like realizing that they're there, some of those things is I'll definitely be passing over to them. I liked especially too the deepness when you were talking about, the deepness of the breath, the width of the breath, breathing with the heart, and then you use those same kind of the deepness and the width of the thoughts and the questions that you're kind of confronted with too, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and there's a lot of benefit when we do some meditation exercises, or when we participate in some guided meditations, and we get kind of a taste for what that coming home, or that returning to the breath is, and how deep it can be. Then we can bring that into all kinds of experiences, right? We can bring meditation into our normal everyday life. when we brush our teeth, when we walk outside into the cold weather, when we get into our car, when we arrive at work, whatever it is, that there's this access point to coming home, to refreshing, restarting, to emotional regulation, right? Where we just return to the breathing. And we can say that Buddhism is like a gold standard for meditation. So for people who are interested in developing their meditation practice, there's going to be a lot of good information from a Buddhist informed side to support that practice. A lot of Western people are hyper fixating on meditation as their approach to healing their mind or having a deeper wisdom. But actually the prerequisite to meditation, and then leading on to enlightenment, the prerequisite is really being a good person, right? So how do we really be a good person? Well, first and foremost, we emphasize generosity. If you're just, if generosity doesn't have a particular meaning for you, then it's going to be vague. And what is the opposite of generosity? It's selfishness. Right? It's this deep, ever-present self-fixatedness. And that's, I'm sure many people have known people who suffer a lot, and they tend to be very self-fixated, locked into themselves, right? So generosity is this kind of initial cure for our ills, for our confusions. So we start to prioritize doing actions of generosity. Making donations, volunteering, baking a cake for someone, right? Making food for someone. You name it, you come up with it, you practice it, you try, right, to do these actions of generosity. And then we also have the precepts in Buddhism, which is essential for being able to develop in meditation. Prioritize, don't kill, don't steal, don't speak harshly or lie, right? Don't commit sexual misconduct. Be very careful with your sexual energy, and don't take intoxicants, right? Don't smoke weed, don't drink alcohol, right? And be careful about caffeine and nicotine, right? You need to be careful. You need to moderate it. And when it comes to don't kill, what are we eating? I've recently taken up like a vegan commitment, so a 1-month vegan vow, or I've been inviting people to take a 1-month vegan challenge. And where's this milk coming from? Where does this meat come from? And we know where it comes from. It comes from horrible, horrible suffering. Right? So we make this commitment to really establish our life in being good and doing good and finding out what that means. And that's the path. That's what we're all here finding out together. What does it mean to be a meditator? What does it mean to live a good life, to be generous, to follow precepts? Hello there, Lizelle Gallardo. Nice to see you. Do you have a question or something to share?
I'm hello Bhante. For now,
Yes.
I'm just want to listen for you to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You said meditation and then ultimately, on a path to enlightenment. What do you think, and this is just, I guess, an opinion, I guess, what do you think would be the path after enlightenment? Where do you think that still revolves around daily meditation and reflection? Or do you think
Well,
that
this
that
this
there's a
word enlightenment is not really helpful in most
mm,
cases for most people, because if we're coming from a Western background where we don't have much of a relationship with enlightenment spiritual traditions, right? We don't have a relationship with Buddhism or Hinduism, then enlightenment just becomes another thing for us to get, for us to grasp, for our ego to have, right? And that's it. And if you have an idea about enlightenment and you want to get enlightenment and you've read all this information about it and you've created this construct in your mind of what enlightenment is, right? What is going to be easier? Is it going to be easier to actually become enlightened, or is it going to be easier to convince yourself that you're enlightened? So what are most people going to do? They're just going to convince themselves that they're enlightened. And this is not particularly helpful for being a student. This isn't particularly helpful for following a teacher. This isn't particularly helpful for overemphasizing being a good person and doing good deeds, right? And finding community and working on our trauma and developing a more healthy relationship with ourselves and our world, right? So enlightenment is uninformed enlightenment is about as useful an idea as sticking your head in the toilet to clean it. Not useful.
how would one know? And these are honest questions, but like, how, I guess how would you know where you're at on a path towards enlightenment?
Do the closet test. This is what I recommend for anyone. Do the closet test. If you want to know what level you're at in terms of enlightenment, go sit in your closet for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours. Go and sit in your closet in the dark and see what state your mind is in. And we already know we don't even have the capacity to control our mind enough to do something like that, to try something like that, because we are awash in our consumption. We're awash in our habit energies. But if you really want to check in with what is the nature of my mind, and hopefully you have enough balance to approach it like reasonably with clear eyes, then you go and sit in the closet and you see, wow, my mind is unstable, out of control, I'm uncomfortable, I want this, I want that, I can't control my mind. So you're certainly not enlightened in that sense, right? So you humble yourself. And that's also why spiritual community is really important, because it humbles us. If we're just like living this life of privilege, of good conditions, we've got a nice place to live, we got some money, we've got some relationships, we got, some intelligence, physical health, etc. And then we hear about this enlightenment, and then we want that. Well, we'll just convince ourselves that we basically have that. Whereas when you go into spiritual community, when you go to live in a monastery, when you go to a meditation retreat, when you just go to be in community and not be allowed to just skate on your privilege, right, or your previous experience, when you go to a new environment, you quickly realize that, I'm human and I've got a lot to work on. That's enlightenment. That's recognizing your mind, right? That's wisdom and compassion. That's insight. But if we just stay in this kind of firmament of our privilege, of the conditions that we're used to, of what's comfortable and our abilities and all that, well, we can convince ourselves of anything. And we won't be testing ourselves anyway. Anyone else have a question or comment, something to share?
I do, Bhante. Sorry, I had
Yeah.
to step away for a second. My father died a few weeks ago. Wondering what it's made me think about a lot of different things, and I just don't know, like, what a Buddhist perspective would be to I don't know, accept it, or I mean, there is no choice; you have to accept it, but how to move on, or how much time should you think about and process it, things like that.
Well, I don't think there's a set time or a absolutely particular time. But it's more that this is an opportunity for you to be more deeply in touch with your Father and also your practice. We aren't separate from our loved ones. We aren't separate at all. We inter-are. It's like your heart, your heart in your chest is the heart of, is not really separate at all from the heart of the sun, right? That neutron star. These inter-are. In the same way with our mind and our heart, this kind of mind-heart. Your Father is in you and with you. So maybe there's some reconciliation or resolution that you need to do. Maybe there's some forgiveness. Maybe there's more time that you need to spend with your Father, with your practice. And Thich Nhat Hanh talks about going for mindful walking and inviting your loved one to be there with you. I've even had the experience of walking meditation or walking in mindfulness and having the sense of like holding the hand of my nephew that's not here with me right now but is here in my heart, or even holding the younger version of myself, right? Holding the hand of myself as a child and using my mindfulness, my heart, my strength, right, my development to be there with my younger self. And you can also do that to be there with your Father, to process that loss or that change.
As far as I think I know what you mean. It's actually very it's very touching. He wasn't he had a lot of emotional problems and wasn't very in touch with anything spiritual. What happens now? I mean, it's been, oh gosh, just a few weeks. Does being a Buddhist, does he know, or does it even matter if he knows?
How do you mean?
Well, with rebirth and all of that, I'm just wondering, is the connection to him like both ways, or is it more like for my benefit?
Well, we can say that there is a simcha that is separate from the moon and the sun. We can say that, right? that there is a simcha that exists independently from the moon and the sun. Right? We can say that, simcha?
Right.
Is that reality, though? It's maybe a
Yeah,
part.
I guess.
It's maybe a part of reality, but what kind of simcha could exist without the moon? What kind of simcha could exist without the sun in the sky? What kind of simcha could exist without the earth underneath your feet?
I'm not sure, I guess. I guess I don't know.
So we enter R, right? We enter R. And there are certainly some other answers that you can get from the Buddhist point of view about the bardo or the realms, or that process of change that someone goes through when they die, their essence or that spirit. But for me, I don't see that there's a simcha or a simcha's father that's separate from simcha. Your father is in you, and you are in your father. Has to be. How, it's like, where is simcha without the sun? There is no simcha without the sun.
Is that what Thich Nhat Hanh was saying when he had a Dhamma talk about when he dies, don't look for me. I am the cloud. I'm in the sun. I'm the air that you breathe. That kind of a thing. Is that kind of like along the lines of thought that you're thinking?
Yeah.
That he's kind of everywhere, part of everything.
Well, that's for Thich Nhat Hanh making a statement like that. That's really about his state, his kind of enlightenment, right? So that's not, your father wouldn't say that. So there's we enter R, but we also exist independently in this state of interbeing, right? So these two things come together, and what I think you should focus on is the practice of that interbeing and inviting your father, which doesn't need to be arbitrarily made to be this separate self-entity, this particular person, this particular view of him, but more his essence, which is everything, not separate from anything. Right? And being there with that, to go for a walk where I'm not separate from anything. Right? I can feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. I can see the nature. I can hear the birds. I can feel my feet on the ground. And I am with all this. Right? And even though your father wasn't a spiritual person, you can invite him to walk with you in that way. Right? You can invite him to be there with you in that way. And hold his hand as if he was, as we are children twice. We're children when we, are born and are little babies, and then we're children when we are very, very old. So this, rigid idea of the child is unnecessary, and this rigid idea of your father is also unnecessary. Walk with him. Hold him. Whatever it is for you. Forgive him. But I really like that you use it as a practice. You invite him to be there with you in your practice of mindful walking, mindful breathing.
Very cold where I'm at right now, so the walking outside will have to wait, but I'll figure something out.
Listen to a Dharma talk with him. You can invite him to be there and listen to a Dharma talk from Thich Nhat Hanh with you. It's beautiful that we can do that. And so I've read that some people even have a deeper relationship with their loved one after they've passed. A more meaningful, more rich relationship with their loved one.
I would like that.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and that we can really do that, and that's real. Just like it's real that my body and mind, my heart, my beating heart that's in me is the sun. It's the earth. It's my father and my grandfather and my ancestors, right? The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, that which needs to be forgiven, that which needs to be remembered. And bringing that all to inform and to support, my practice, my way.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome.
Hello, hello Bhante, hello Sangha. My father also passed away a couple of days ago, so this was perfect timing, and your words were beautiful and so freeing and liberating. And is this recorded so I can show it to my family? If not, I'll just tell them about it.
Yeah, I'll put the link to the YouTube video on the announcements channel, so you'll be able to go back and
So much.
watch it later. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Bhante. Thank you. This is so beautiful. Thank you for making these sessions. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for being here.
Bante, I changed my mind. I just want to ask questions. Why Buddhism don't believe in God? Is it true? I mean, because I born as a Catholic, and until now somehow it's a question for me why that Jesus Christ not God and there is no God. That's what I heard about in Buddhism.
So I like to say that the Buddha was not a Buddhist. The Buddha was the enlightened one, or the one who woke up. And the Buddha taught there is suffering, there's a cause of suffering, there's a ending of suffering, and there's a path to ending suffering. So this does not, it's a little bit different than a Western religion. It's a little bit different than what we, at least like modern Christianity, how we understand that, and our belief in Jesus and our belief in God. It's a little bit of a different practice, right? And so as a Buddhist, you can certainly believe in God. As a Buddhist, you can certainly be a Christian or be a Catholic or have all kinds of different ideas. And because what it means to be a Buddhist is a little bit different from what it means to be a Christian. If you were to become a Catholic or become a Christian, especially like an American Christian, it means that you take Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior. You believe in Him, that He died on the cross for your sins, etc., and that you through that acceptance you'll go to heaven when you pass away, or if you don't believe it, you'll go to hell. And there's all kinds of different varieties and different opinions and beliefs in this vein, in this general way of thinking. But to be a Buddhist means that you consider the Buddha's teaching to be workable as a way to deal with suffering in your life, right? And that system of practice or way of being is really virtue, meditation, and then insight into reality. But it's experiential insight. It's not about you believing in it, right? So devoting yourself to following the 5 precepts of not killing, not stealing, not lying or speaking harshly, not committing sexual misconduct, not taking drugs or intoxicants, and then, kind of appreciating the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, this tradition, like that the Buddha was able to be free from suffering, realized a freedom from suffering, human suffering, that the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha can help you reduce suffering or end suffering, and that there's a lot of value in this community of monks and nuns and this community of other people who have, had a lot of success in ending their suffering, and that's it. So you can be a Buddhist and a Christian. It's not an issue. Now, if you become very strong about one idea in Buddhism and you become attached to that, well, then that might interfere with you being a Christian. And in the same way, if you grasp onto some very strong idea about Christianity, then that might interfere with you being a Buddhist. But if your spiritual life is a practice and a way of life, and something that's more a matter of the heart and intimacy, right, with your life, then why do you need to arbitrarily grab onto this part of Buddhism or grab onto that part of Christianity and then make a difference or make an argument between them, right? No need. Because the Buddha isn't the Son of God. The Buddha isn't God. The Buddha didn't create the earth. The Buddha was a human being, born of a human mother and a human father. And enlightenment, by a lot of authoritative understandings, is peace. Right? So the Buddha taught that there is a path to peace in this life. And even if you have an idea in Christianity that maybe seems to go against that, well, it's not that abrasive, right? It's not like saying you appreciate or you believe in this path to peace or that you think that it's useful is somehow like anti-God or anti-Christianity, because it's not. Or it certainly doesn't need to be. Certainly doesn't need to be. So I say just approach it and make use of it. And don't think too heavily about it. Practice heavily with it. And Buddhism should only bring you closer to the depth of Christianity, rather than making like being against Christianity in some way, which I don't think that it is. Okay, anyone else? A question or something to share?
I just want to say the reason why I like the breathing just during meditation, because it just put me in that relaxed state. I definitely like doing that before I leave my home, because it makes things, dealing with toxic things, it makes it tolerable, because I feel I feel comfortable, I feel at peace. But when I meditate now, it takes a minute for those thoughts to pass. And once it passes, and I'm just in that quiet space, before it was dark, now in that quiet space, I see colors. And I believe it was 3 weeks ago, I started seeing an image, but I tried too hard to identify it, and I haven't been able to reach that since then. Because I was like, what is that? You know? But it gives me peace.
Yeah, just keep practicing, Gloria. You know, there's a lot of different systems out there for meditation and teachers that specialize in those systems. So it came to my mind, you know, maybe there's someone who could, you know, kind of give you a particular direction to go in. But there's no better direction, there's no more clear way to move forward than just consistency and continuing.
Yeah.
Right, and stepping into it. And there's no, as long as we have that authenticity, that curiosity, and that simplicity, just continue stepping into it. And that trust and that faith in your mind as being a source of peace and a source of healing, you just lean into that more and more. Yes.
Bante, another questions. In Buddhism, what is morality? Like
Doing good
Catholic
and not doing bad.
doing.
If you do something good, you feel good. If you do something bad, you feel bad. And it's also,
But
it's experimental. We learn through our experience. And we also use the, what is good causes less suffering. What is bad causes more suffering. And then we learn through our experience how that works.
but I've heard some said that in true reality, in the true essence of reality, there is no such thing as good and bad. It is only our, um, I mean, they said there is nothing like I've heard that we're just consciousness na mainrupa, and our perception of things like morality is a concept. So
Yeah, so whoever says something like that, you can bring them a cup of boiling water and tell them to enjoy. All right? Very simple, very easy, not complicated. So a lot of people can talk like that, but they don't know about the truth. And they are foolish people. There can be some expedient means or some skillful way of communicating about the truth that is free of duality of good and bad, but we shouldn't play with it. It's actually a very sensitive topic. It's a very dangerous even topic to work with, because we can by speaking that way and by thinking that way, we can bypass our actual experience. We can bypass or kind of try to get around what we actually know. And the path is not about that. It's about diving deeper and deeper into what we know. Now, is that possible? Is that state, is that experience possible? Yes, and that state is utter compassion, utter wisdom, utter generosity, utter goodness, right? And you don't need to call it goodness because it's beyond goodness, but that's exactly what it is, right? So if you want to go beyond duality, then you need to do a lot of good and you need to do very little bad. That's the reality.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
I have one more question for you. Have you heard of Kundalini meditation? Is that something that Buddhists practice at all, or that you've ran across?
I'm not very involved with anything like Kundalini meditation, but there was a video I saw recently from the Clear Mountain people, Clear Mountain Monastery, Clear Mountain monks, where they invited someone who was talking about that. Let me see if it comes up quickly here or not. Yeah, Tara Springett right here. So I'll just share this link with you, and you can take a look at that on your time, Bobby. And I'll put that in the the Dhamma Talks section of the Discord.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll finish here with a sharing of the merit. So I invite everyone to unmute their microphone, and you can bring your hands together if you like, or just bring your mind together and repeat after me as we share or dedicate the goodness from our good deeds to all beings. That's kind of what this practice is. So repeat after me. May all the good effects from the good deeds that we have done
May all the good
effects from the good deeds that we have done
be dedicated and offered to all beings.
Be dedicated and offered to all beings.
May all beings, including our loved ones,
May all beings,
May all beings, including our loved ones,
rejoice and share in our merits.
rejoice and share in our merits.
May all beings support our practice.
May all beings support our practice.
May this practice support all beings.
May this practice support all beings.
May it be. May it be.
May it be.
May it be.
May it truly be.
May it truly be.
And we can all take a deep bow. Okay. Thank you all for showing up and being with me here today and with the community, and look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you, Bhante. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Bhante.
I'll just say before I go that we do have a member of the community who's been hosting some morning meditations. So welcome to check those out tomorrow at 7 a.m. California time. There'll be one. So welcome to practice. All right. Goodbye.